Hi, YouTube. I hope you're all doing good. I could have used a little more sleep. My daughter-in-law contacted me. My son, who has schizophrenia, is getting out of jail and asked if he could come and live by our creek. Well, like last night, it was 50 degrees out. And actually, see, here's the big deal in the whole situation. If he wants to live outside and not actually seek a place to live, why? Because he has the money to get a little place and live pretty comfortably, but unless he's deciding to use that money on drugs and alcohol, which I don't want around me at all. So uh, at this point, I sent her some information on what they call an odds budsman. This is a person that helps people with handicaps that make sure that they have their bills paid and that type of thing. So if he really does want to stay healthy, I would recommend that that would be the best help he could get. I mean, me even letting him stay, which I don't have the means really. We don't, our extra room is full, and I threw the bed out into the kitty house. And that's not even the issue either. It's, is he going to take medication to stay calm? And I have a theory that schizophrenia really is just a label for people that know that God's trying to talk to our soul, and so is the dark force. And the distinction isn't made to measure anything on the spiritual level in the field of psychology at all. So I thought, well, gee, I'll just get on here and I'll lay it on the experts and see if they can, maybe talk about that more. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there about schizophrenia, um, but I really still, just knowing that we all hear what we would say hear, but it's more of a feeling, it's a sense, it's an instinct. Some people say the universe talks to them. I know God created me, um, and a lot of people will look down on people that believe in God because they're like, they want to say they don't believe in what that goodness is within themselves so they can continue to do really crummy things. Now I know for a fact that both of my sons do believe in God and they've never denied that. I'm sure they've had their wonders through their lives, but that's why I always come right back to the same old conclusion that I didn't make myself, and I can feel the one who did trying to keep me straight in my life. And I can't back up down on what I know to be true, even if those with lesser faith in their creator try to paint me as some kind of crazy thing. I don't care. I still have to stand firm on who I called on in times of trouble and how I was helped and realize that is an actual thing. Or who people call on when they want to do dirty deeds and the help that they'll receive through his people. So it's, yeah, it's a war. It's a big battle. But any professionals, doctors, people that have studied psychosis of any kind, how do you feel about my theory on schizophrenia in the spiritual sense? See, because it's not being cared for in that field of medicine. So, and it used to not even be considered medicine, but now they say that neuroscientists may have a total insight on the human brain, which I believe is totally impossible, personally. not only is everybody different on varying degrees, that's something I was going to touch on too. How closely related, and of course it would be varying degrees, but people to have like multiple dark triad or tetrad traits, um, and other handicaps incorporated. Like my son has a severe neck injury and they put him on opioids in right after when he was about 20 something, like 22, somewhere around in there, 23 perhaps. And I just seen him spiral downhill way worse than ever. He used to work, he took pride in his work. He took pride in everything he did. He was a little obsessive, and I'm a bit OCD, and I know that came from not having control in situations and trying to have that under control, at least for myself in my life. So, I mean, yeah, I'm good at analyzing myself and why I do my weird things. But yeah, what do you think about misdiagnosis on the schizophrenia thing and the physical and the drug use becoming something, psychosis that it maybe isn't exactly what they think it is? What do you think about that? Anybody? I'm open to anybody's thoughts on this. Maybe you've experienced something similar with yourself or a loved one, or God knows. So, cheers, everybody. Hope your day is wonderful. Also, too, he's not able to care for his three daughters in the family that he did have, and I have to make sure that I keep a safe spot for them in their lives if they need me, because nobody else is giving that to them on this planet, and somebody has to be responsible for younger people in this world, no matter who, but at least the ones that I'm related to. I can only do what I can do in this world, and the kids do come first, and their mother. Actually, it's all real. That's more of a reality for their sake than anybody else's, regardless. And so this has been pretty heartbreaking. Um, yeah, it's been. Doug said he didn't sleep well either, and I didn't even tell him about it. I wasn't going to, but I thought, well, I'm not going to lay it on him last night. But he said he didn't sleep good. He doesn't sleep good when I don't sleep good. Yeah. Well, uh, God knows that too. Whatever. But oh yeah, the day has hardly been begun, and it's been terrible all week. No, no, it's not. No, I actually Doug put a new LED light in our kitchen above the counter. So that was done this morning, and I got the kitties fed, and I went and looked for a lot of information on oddsbudsman that could maybe, I hope there's some kind of emotional care help. A lot of it's for the elderly, but um, and the handicapped. So I'm if he's able to reach out. Another thing is he has neurological damage and has a stutter and tremor. Um, I don't know if it's just from the drug use, but he also had a heart attack about, oh, must have been about 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe 6 perhaps. So there's a lot of things going on with him health-wise, as far as him even being able to communicate with people verbally. It's all it's a big mess and it's pretty horrible and yeah. Anyway, also, um, it's not that it happens all the time or anything, but I mean, especially if there's alcohol involved, he's been known to be somewhat violent. Um, Not much with me. A couple times he's kind of pushed his limits, or even tried to like jokey martial arts with me. That both my kids have tried that, and I never taught my children combat at all. It wasn't allowed in my house, you know. Strength training and physical fitness, yeah, but not how to uh, take somebody off this planet. That's not a wise thing to do with children that have upsets in their life and trauma from, you know. I had to get them alone to even give them any kind of sanity. They were around so much loudness and violence and just nonsense that it was either I might as well have just walked out the door and left my children to the wolves the way it turned out. But um, yeah, I was stable enough to get them a home that I paid for in a vehicle and try to go back to school when they were younger, which I did somewhat excel a little bit, but it was really hard because I didn't want to leave them with strangers for babysitting and a lot of different things, you know. So, and I had the Masons wanting rights to see my kids, which is a lot of mind control and a lot of other from people that are not my blood and did not and do not have my best interests at heart. So it was a big mess. And it's still kind of a mess that I'm still, in that respect, responsible for. You know, so I'm having a dilemma today, you know, and even working in the mental health care field a couple different times. I'm not a total big professional like some people, but I do fall back on my trainings of the heart and my strong mind and my intelligence, and I haven't really seen that displayed out of too many professionals that think they have it all and they're lacking in my eyes and not worthy to even give me their opinion is how I feel about like Jordan Peterson, for instance. There's one. And there's a couple other there out there that are maybe not doing the harm that he is doing for the dark force. But and once again, what you do in your private life, if you're caring for other people's health and it has to do with sexuality, this goes for the gender of children too. You have no business talking to those children the way the parent should with their sexuality or spirituality. And lines have been crossed, and other lines haven't been opened up for the true care of human beings. And that's where I come in. And I will go up against the greatest minds on this planet, not treating the whole human being, and it's a big concern of mine. So I think you can understand from what I've talked, a lot of people might say, well, a person's out there talking about their personal life or what they're doing in the day. You're darn right. I'm documenting my entire day and my entire life for not only my sons, if they're ever able to come around, but my granddaughters too, or anybody else that my words might be able to correlate with and understand and say, hey, I think and I feel pretty much the same way on these things. And then they'll know that because I know I'm an odd duck, that they aren't the only duck in the pond. that sees herself as a swan, but nonetheless, duck, duck. Did you ever play Duck, Duck, Grey Duck, or they call it Duck, Duck, Grey Goose? Or and then I was listening to um, Rabbi Simon Jacobson. He's a good guy. For the most part, I have to really dig in on those Noahide laws with him and help him with his people. But besides that, I have a certain amount of trust and respect, great respect for him. But he was talking about that game, musical chairs, and how he never liked it. And I really got where I didn't like it either. For one thing, I'm very physically fit and I would usually win. But even for the ones that never would, like the kids, like I would even give like a friend, I'd give them a chair because they were weak like that. Sad. It's a sick little game, you know. We had some pretty brutal games when I was growing up, like Red Rover and uh, oh, I loved it. It was bombardment with them great big balls. I forget what they call them. But I went bowling for children. It's like that was great. I could legally do something to these creatures that were normally not very intelligent and cruel little human beings. So if I had the opportunity to go bowling for kids that probably actually had physically did a lot of stuff to me, and then that was my free pass. Not as good as tetherball, but pretty good anyway. Even tennis can be dangerous if you're playing with the wrong people. Especially the tennis arguments and the anger and all that stuff that people show out in the world. It's like, what a bunch of clowns. Get it together. Get a grip. I know when your adrenaline's out, up and you're active and that type of stuff, but control yourselves for God's sakes. It's not like you're in a kickboxing match or something, you're playing tennis, you know. It's the same when hockey or baseball or any of that turns violent. It's like, is anybody there like an adult or even human? So, yeah. That's one thing that's pretty cool about people that build cars and go to car shows and that type of thing. And we belong to a Minnesota Street Rod Association, and a lot of those are family people. We have activities that we've done in the past where we get together and rent a racetrack, the whole racetrack, for like 4 days and run our cars on it if we want, or in picnics and barbecues and family type events, that type of thing. But we haven't done for a few years, but I have never, looking back at that, seen a couple arguments here and there, but those people really don't have a lot of, they can socialize pretty well above other people that I've seen in other areas or groups of people that have, they're lacking social skills, you know. So, I mean, I'm just saying as far as groups or clubs that people might belong to or things that you do in activities, and of course, if I know some people, their activity is like I'm not putting anybody down, but they go to the bar. That's their thing. I used to love to go out Friday or Saturday night. I drank, but I was dancing and I was active, and then I would eat something, and I was young enough to handle it where it didn't really affect me like a Fruit Loop. Well, now, and I found out I'm allergic to all that, even wine with the tannins in it. So, all liquor, beer, because of the weed in there. But occasionally I'll have a little something. I mean, occasionally, like every 10 years or something. But, you know, so I'm not putting anybody down like that. That used to be one of my activities, dancing and socializing like that. But that's an area where you see more brutality because of the alcohol. In fact, I stopped bartending because I could not stand it. I couldn't stand watching other people out of control. It bothered me. I mean, as much as I love working around people, that just wasn't for me. you know? So, anyway, I didn't go to school for that. I had a mother-in-law that owned a place with a penthouse upstairs, and I lived in my own apartment in her penthouse suites up there, and would bartend. And then I did a lot of the running for her, like back in the day. Well, out where we were in the middle of nowhere, we didn't have liquor delivery systems and that type of thing. So I would do that and running to the bank and that, so I didn't just bartend. But there's a place where I did just bartend. I kind of liked it because at that time I was 21 when I started there, pre-kids. And I would wait till it was closed, and then I would just sit there and have a few drinks before I went home, and I played this, remember Atari Duck Hunter? Yeah, I'd play it on the big screen at the bar when everybody was gone. I'd have some drinks and play Duck Hunter till I was tired, and then I'd drive home, which was quite a ways. But even that was relaxing because I was all alone and I didn't care. Actually, I had another bar that I would go to sometimes before work because they had a pinball machine that I would always win on, and I used to play music there. A friend of mine owned the place by a river, really beautiful balcony out in this place and dance floor stage, the whole thing. So I'd go to the village, and it's called the Rum River Inn, in the village of St. Francis, which is now a city. But so I would go there, and then I'd go to my job, and then I would go home, and I babysat these 3 little boys for this single mom and help her clean her house and stuff to stay there, not far away from people I grew up around. But I lived next door, like down the road from my adopted parents, and they didn't even know I was around. you know. So anyway, because I had been out in Montana and came back and just, you know, didn't have a lot of communication with them after I made that separation, which was the best for me to do, the best thing. So when people are, um, I just can't stand hollering and nonsense and narcissists and um, patronizing and degrading and just weird shit that this low vibe of master manipulators do. And it's like, nah, I don't want to be around it. So I started gathering different types of people around me in my life. At that time, the woman I lived with her kids, was she worked for social services helping people, so we both kind of had a thing about us where we just loved people, so we had that in common. And after helping her with her boys, that did somewhat prepare me for mine, you know. And then another babysitting job I had when I was living with some people, she had like two sets of twins and 13 kids, and her husband died, you know. Um, just I've been around close proximity to a lot of strange things in my life. Catholic girls' school, all kinds of different girls in there. Um, hmm, different things. Then I went to work as a student teacher, one of my first jobs too, in an elementary school. That was a riot. You know, I told you this before, some of you that have been here for a while. I would bring my guitar in on Fridays and sing for the kids. Um, I was singing Puff the Magic Dragon to them, and I had no clue that it was a song about smoking pot. I just thought it was a song about a dragon, you know. Oh, yeah. Isn't that terrible? I wonder how many of them grew up to realize. I know none of them realized that back then, but you know, this was early 70s. There's just I barely knew anything back then, you know. I just didn't. You know. Some things, yeah, I had a lot of skills. I could like skin a rabbit and tan it and make a purse out of it, or moccasins out of buckskin. I did a whole, I mean, so many different, made my own clothes, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I had skills. But yeah, nothing really prepared me for a lot of stuff. There isn't any preparation. But yeah, if we could write a book on how to take care of your soul, I mean, they tried that with the scriptures, but it's been so polluted by other people's opinions and their take. Whatever suits them, whatever is going to help them through their life is what they preach. They're not reaching out and looking into your or my future and actually saying, gee, this is how this can help you or that can help you, because they're more self-serving, is what I've found out of most people who say they preach the word, you know? So, I think it's going to be a warm one today. It's already 76, but and like I say, it was 50 degrees last night, plus breezy. And this is still August, which it's typical for us to be 100 degrees or more. Even, well, 105 isn't uncommon, but still the month isn't over, so we'll see how that goes. You know, it could get. I thought we had hot weather coming up here, but I know, like, the southwest states, like Arizona and California, Southern California especially, it's very hot this time of year. But I saw something really odd. Portland, Oregon, on the west coast of the United States, northwest, closest to Canada, up in there, is really hot, and they are usually like around 70 or 80 degrees. Even this time of year, about 90 would be tops. But I see that they're going to be approaching more like 100 degrees over there this week too. So, and that's um because the El Nino, the warmth of the current in the waters that we have every few years, it changes from El Nino to La Nina. And the scientists that are trying to make money off of their scams are using that with weather manipulation to play games with people and usurp money out of them with their green baloney. I mean, it's not entirely baloney because I would love to see nothing more. I mean, even there's a lot of people that build their own cars and wouldn't see anything wrong with having a totally electric vehicle. We don't care. You know, we if we could put a electric system in our hot rod, we'd do it. You know, that isn't an issue with us. So, it's not like, oh, we just had like I love muscle cars. So, but if it could be electric, I'd be cool with that. You know, but I also love Jeeps. Yeah, if I could have an electric powered Jeep Wrangler with the hard top and the soft top. I used to have one, and we made a deal with somebody else for a truck that was just a total piece of crap, but should have kept my Jeep. I had two of them in my life and let them go. I shouldn't have. Oh, we do have one. We have a CJ7 for plowing now that went down, but um, it's okay. I think it's just, or Doug did fix it already. I'm not just being brain dead here. We have a lot of vehicles. It's not a joke. And we've owned so many of them. Sometimes I got to reach back, like, where'd that one go? And whatever, because it's been something else. Like you wouldn't believe, you know. But yeah, even people that love cars, they call them car guys or car people. Um, Yeah, we don't have any objection to cleaning up the swirl. We're just against the batteries that expire every 5 to 6 years and are like $30,000 to $40,000 to replace them. And the cobalt that's inside of there is mined by children and they're abused and or lithium and no. So we're against it because it isn't benefiting the world, it's doing more harm because the pollution that lithium causes is there's no expiration date on it. There's no um, the toxins are a forever thing. So some things are best left in the ground, you know. So there's a reason they're down there, most likely. That's my theory on that. Leave that stuff alone. If God said, hey, he wanted silver or gold to be on the surface, well, there you go. You'd know. Well, I mean, 'cause we do need metals. And the same with iron and steel and taconite, that type of thing. And it's really cool see, a lot of people don't know when you mine iron, there's a very toxic when you mine for ore, there's a toxic component named taconite that is turned into pellets, and these are very highly. So every time, like they say, Green Deal or whatever, and they have steel constructed buildings or whatever, um, even some they're called oh, just a sec. Okay, I'll get back to that. There's another carbon base mixed with steel. It's like mixing plastic and steel. Well, anyway, back to the taconite we would sell to China, and China would refine the taconite and mix it and create another building substance out of that. And they were actually, and I don't know if they still do, take our taconite and make use out of it. But otherwise, a lot of that is spilt into waterways and railways and other different things. If you ever see them little round pellets that look like iron ore, it's not iron ore, they're poisonous and it's called taconite. So, what am I thinking of? Carbon fiber. It's a carbon fiber that actually they can mix metal in. And like the new panels and fenders and different things for different vehicles are made with plastic mixed with metal and resin, like a fiberglass, only a super duper fiberglass, you know. So, so yeah, there's even a lot that goes into people are like clean energy. Well, them windmills are made out of steel, and that steel comes out of the ground, and after it's taken out of the ground, when you get the ore, there could be nickel or it could be silver, there could be copper, but after the iron ore is refined, there's taconite in it's poisonous. And nobody talks about that because I don't think very many people know about it, you know. I've been to several different kinds of mines, and I do know what I'm talking about. So when they say Green New Deal, it isn't really all it's chalked up to. There is no, unless they want to bring up Tesla technology or go into somebody's research like Gerald Moran here on YouTube, you'll find out that he made what is like a generator, but it's perpetuated in motion once it gets going. It's a coil onto itself and it alternates and generates its own electricity. And it's like a generator. If you were to start the generator with the coils and the alternator, it goes forever. There's technology that's beyond Tesla technology that can be implemented around this world. There's Stanley Meyer's um, water-powered car, and I mean the things, the technology that's already here, and they're playing with people. I'm not playing. I have a scientific enough mind where I don't play their games and I don't play well. I was reading Popular Mechanics for Children when I was a child, you know. So these people can say they are scientists, but I can prove I am by the language that I use and my knowledge of alchemy, not just one area in the mechanics of what's going on in the world. And that goes right down to the spiritual sense and the care for other human beings, too. There's no difference, you know, really, in trying to strive for understanding in everybody. I don't sit still on anything, you know. I want to know it all. You can't help somebody if you don't know a lot of stuff. You just can't. How can you talk to somebody on their level if you don't know anything about the level they're on? You know, that's a little, would be a little difficult. But then if it comes to spirituality, everybody's on that same level. And that's where my heart lies. That's where my lays. That's my concern for human beings in the world like that. That is real. Even if I get angry with them, I don't stop loving anybody. I just can't. It isn't in me. I just got to stay away from some people, but, you know, yeah. So I started loving everybody because I didn't know who I was related to, you know, and that in a lot of ways creeped me out. And I always tried to stay away from people that were, they told me I was full-blooded German until I found out the truth that I was being lied to. But, so I was really leery of even marrying into a family that I might have belonged to, you know. Later in years, I found out that it was a lie, but, you know, I still took precautions in that area with my thoughts, you know, out in this world, you know. Gross, right? That's another thing about adoption. If you can't find your family and you don't know who they are, how would you like to marry somebody that you're related to and you didn't even know it? That'd be a trip, you know? Yeah, that crossed my mind. Why wouldn't it? You know? Yeah, I had a lot of concerns. I wasn't your typical child, you know? And you could think, well, a lot of people have like a facade where they say, like I was never a child. Well, some of us did not have that luxury. We're expected to act like little adults, which is like a giant crime on this planet as far as I'm concerned, in a lot of ways. I'm not talking about making your children behave. I'm just talking about, what's expected out of a kid, like kid things or adult things. So, yeah, my mind is just loaded with what to do's today, you know. Like I say, I just want to get in on here and lay it on everybody as far as what do you think? Um, what would you do? I already made up my mind what I have to do, but what would you do? It's like my neighbor said their oldest or one of their kids that is an adult moved back home with them, and I said, well, I can't do that. And um, he looked at me kind of weird, and I'm thinking, yeah, you just really have no clue, you know. And they don't. They really don't. First off, and like I've always said, my kids were attacked intentionally because of my attitude with the world all my life. So this isn't new for me. And my children being attacked is a real thing. And even now, I know my daughter in law knows that this is a lot bigger on this planet for all of us that battle that dark force. And it isn't a joke at all, it's an absolutely real thing for people that are aware of that, you know. But when you're not aware of it, it's just like, wow, the world's strange, you know, and you gotta function in it. but, you know, but you always gotta ask yourself, why are people so strange? What happened to this person? Were they born that way? Is it genetics? Did you like eat a cucumber or what? Are you allergic? I have no clue. I think there's so many varying degrees of what makes somebody somebody, that spiritual really is the only connection that we have. All the mental and physical really leaves the spiritual, and they leave it out. They leave that out, and that's a giant part of us. That's who we are. We are living in a spiritual world. And like they say, spiritual beings having a physical experience. But see, the spiritual care is left out of the equation. And that's where my expertise comes in. Do you see? Mental health care professional. It's a part of the equation. And that's why I know you can hear what I'm talking about and know I can understand what you're talking about too. Especially for you ones that carry God in your hearts, but are not allowed to incorporate that into your professional care for people because of the scope of the differences of personalities out here on this planet. So what do we do? What do I do today, God? Oh, help, help, help. Boy, I can lifeguard you. I can save your life. I can give you something to eat. I can set a bone and sew you up, but I can't help somebody's heart unless they're aware that they need the help with their heart. You know, that's where I have a problem. You know. Yeah. I told Doug if he wanted to pop in, I just was going to be talking, and so if he had anything he wanted to say, it's more than welcome. So, yeah, what a day. What a life. I wrote something in my community. It was a response to, I saw a meme that said, people saying, let me see if I can scroll this. Maybe. Well, when they say the universe has their back, my response is God has my back. People, or please listen, people, I have kicked around this earth long enough to know I didn't create myself, and there is an Almighty Father that did make me out of love. Yet here I am. Yeah, what am I? Just older and stupid? 2 question marks. Think about that. You know, 'cause I know when I needed help, I got that help. But I also know there's times when I needed help and I didn't realize who was helping me, and I did not get that help. And I'll give you a giant, for instance, something that I went through that caused me great anxiety, and I don't know what compelled me aside from trying to conquer something. But with my dyslexia, with numbers, especially if I get tired, it's not as bad as it used to be, or even with letters. But I went to become a dealer at a casino. And when I went to take my test after I took the schooling and the training, I was afraid. It was the first time that I did not know. And I had taken Air Force tests, and I had taken all kinds of tests in my life that didn't cause me the anxiety that one did, and I excelled. And I opened up their first table for the chief and his wife the night that casino opened up, not far from my house. And I used to drive on a road to get there called 777 Lady Luck Drive, or Lucky Lady Drive, Lady Luck Drive, I think. Hello.
Familiar?
Yeah, that looks almost
These
just
are
like
4 feet.
Okay.
I go right over that ugly stuff.
Yeah.
The ones that they're stretched out.
Yeah. Nice.
And then I got a whole box. These are
Don't put on
4-footers.
my bed.
These are 4-footers. This
Yeah.
is brand new out of a pack.
Yeah. Want to say hi, YouTube?
Hi, YouTube.
Nice stuff, Doug.
Got a piece of wraps here.
Okay.
Not even around there so bad.
Yeah.
Come up.
We have some old square tiles we got, and some 3-foot ones, but these are some new ones that Doug got from a friend. They had sold us a whole bunch, a truckload of it, of different colors and things, so to help us with our projects around here. So yeah, he's working on that today. So, and I might be later, or I'll probably do something better. I did the other day make those deep fried mushrooms I was talking about, breaded mushrooms. Oh, they're good. And I did take allergy medicine to be able to survive that. But Doug was able to eat his fill of them and not worry about it because he's not allergic. So, when he does something cool that's going to make my life more pleasant, I will do the same. I used to just do the same and not worry about who did what for me, but I don't operate like that anymore. It's gotta be a mutual thing. So on the daily constant, you know. So yeah, he's feeding the kitties treats. We have one. His cat almost died. They said the vet said it was thyroid problem. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was he used to sit and watch my horse run. Well, I had my dog, my cat, and my horse all die within 6 months. He also watched his mother die. Her leg got severed, and we had to put her to sleep. He watched. His best friend was a rabbit that doesn't live as long as cats, and the rabbit was sold even when we brought um, Doug's cat in as a stray because the mother had died, and found the rest of them home. So he's seen a lot of loss in his life, and I think he actually was almost dying of heartbreak. And then I brought the other one in that had broken parts on her that I set her bones and fixed her up and all that. And um, they're both thriving really good now. And he's been eating a lot better too. But if you ever look at what uh, cat food or dog food is made out of, and that there's strychnine and other poisons in there, and you have to be really careful what you give your pets. And I wouldn't recommend just soft food for your cats because when they're getting older too, or dogs, their teeth get, uh, they can have dental problems. Just like with my little dog, I used to brush her teeth. You have to, and I took her into the dentist for oral care. They get plaque and that causes poisons. There's these little wipes I used to give her. I had the toothbrush and I had a different little thing you put on your finger with doggy toothbrush, toothpaste, but then I um, got these wipes that were dental wipes, and I just wipe her gums and, and give her chewy stuff. And I mean, it's just the care. A lot of people don't understand the care that it actually, another living creature takes, no matter what it is, what type of animal, they all have their own individual type care, so that's what I was telling you, what animal husbandry is that Adam's spoken about in the Bible, by the way, was the Adamites, a group of people. But whatever his name is, what's his name, the forefather, that first one, um, he was naming the animals. That's animal husbandry. That's the care for all the animals on the planet. And that's not being married to everybody. That's animal husbandry. That's the care of the animals. That's what that means. So, in case you didn't know, some of you might. But yeah, the churches really love to mix that up, and it's still beyond me how men would love to call themselves the brides of Christ, like the church, which we're the body of that. It's like looking out into a city, like the center of a city, that's the body of that city, you know, what's what's in there of that, or a community or a neighborhood would be like a part of the body, you know. But it's all in the language and how they use it to benefit themselves, which is just, it's repulsive to me. The bride of Christ, give me a break. Stop it. It's retarded. Get a grip on that, people, you know. This is Christ when you come up to him before you meet the Father. Oh, dude, so you think you're my bride? Yeah, think again. Oh, yeah. So, do I have anybody listening to me that thinks that the universe helps them? Just curious. How could there be a universe if God is everything? How could there be a una, as in verse, as in separating those two words? Yeah, it means together, or they say universes. I don't know, I'm just thinking about words. If it's all one thing, it's still all one thing, you know. If we say, like the heavens, physically or spiritually, or the sky, or the different layers, or the firmament, or whatever, or the cosmos, or one of the galaxies, still a part of what everything is, all one thing. So, and there's not just one universe. So, why would somebody just talk to the universe? I would rather talk to the creator of it all and realize who I'm talking to and give that honor and respect where it's due. That's my outlook on that, you know. Just some thoughts. Tales from the dark side. Surrounded by the dark side, I should say. I do think it's funny when I choose to wear a certain color shirt for a reason, and then I see somebody else I listen to wearing the same shirt just about, you know? It's a little ironic. Like Lisa Lobb's. It's ironic, don't you think? A little too ironic. Yeah, I really do think. I love that song. It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a green light that you just can't take. It's or no, wait, it's a green light. When you're already there, it's some good advice that you just can't take. Who would have thought it would figure? I think I am going to go find that song for you all, and then you'll know what I'm singing. I'll put it in the description. I love it. It's a good song. I need to hear it again today, too. It'll make me laugh. I think it's like getting a spoon and a knife or something when all you want is a fork, or I don't know, something. I'll have to see the lyrics again. It's been a while. So. But do you see what I mean about the word universe and asking the universe for help? Because they're leaving God out of the picture. Well, universe, God, I guess depends on what word you're using and why are you using it. And I know the word God has been overplayed, but if we just say Almighty and know that He's our Father and we were made out of love, and I do believe He made each one of us out of love because He wanted us to be us, and we have a purpose for that part in that family of humans. I truly believe that out of everybody, and that we are all on different levels. Some spirits are older and some are younger, but I just do believe that we all play a piece in that puzzle. I also do believe that there's a good place that our spirits go forever, or a bad place depending on the decisions that we make, but something in on that. I do believe that if you made wrong choices, that there's always a chance for redemption in your story, no matter how long it takes you. That's my belief. So. Well, I'm gonna get this uploaded. Maybe I'll get a little bit of feedback from some people if they see what I'm gonna write on here, and maybe not so much as to make my heart feel better, because there's really not a lot I can do about that right now, but just to hear other thoughts from good minds and hearts, and just what are you thinking today? So okay, everybody, I love you all. Thank you for being here. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.